So thank you so much for inviting me for this presentation over here at Meetup. Thanks a lot, Stephen and other guys. Now you can see this is a presentation about the dynamic measure, how we can do the formatting and how we can use the calculation groups in Power BI. Calculation groups provides a very convenient and robust way to do a lot of calculations, and even we can apply the same on metrics as well as on different charts. This is something about me. I have about more than 10 years of IT work experience. I'm certified in different things, and I have specialization in Power BI and other data visualization tools, including DAX and SSAS, SSIS, and so on. I'm just going briefly through. So here we are gonna have first what are the disconnected tables, then the dynamic measures, then we'll talk about the calculation groups, and also we are gonna talk about the dynamic page navigation. And this is just not the dynamic page navigation, it's a dynamic page navigation with RLS and also the dynamic page title with selection, so that user can see, okay, what are my selections for this particular title or particular KPI, and if there are a lot of KPIs, then how we can handle those kinds.
Tak, nějak nám zamrzlo spojení. Doufejme, že se podaří Ajay brzo zase připojit. Každopádně, jak říkal, tak tady máte před sebou agendu toho, co by dneska chtěl projít. A chvilku počkáme, jestli se mu podaří se dobře připojit zase zpátky. Vlastně i jak jsem říkal, je to vidět, že v tuto chvíli Ajayovi to opravdu droplo, tak jenom chvilku počkáme, přece jenom připojujeme se do Singapuru, takže asi nějaký přerušení na cestě. Zkouším je Ajay připojit napřímo, zatím se to nedaří, tak snad v nejbližších chvilkách. Každopádně, já se vás tady zeptám, použil jste někdo někdy calculation groups z vás, co jste tady připojený na chatu? Nebo obecně aspoň slyšeli jste někdy o nich? Tak, nikdo ani neodpovídá, ale každopádně calculation group je něco, co do světa Power BI přibylo poměrně nedávno. Jestli si pamatuju dobře, tak okolo září, možná ještě chvilku předtím. A vytváří se to dneska pomocí Tabular Editoru. S tím, že to, k čemu vám Calculation Group pomáhají, je to, že můžete poměrně... už máme Ajay zpátky. It's okay. It's okay.
It's happened because of my system reboot. Microsoft Windows says it's a blue screen.
Okay.
Okay, I'm really sorry. I'm not sure like even where I was in my presentation.
We was on agenda.
Yeah, so let me just start my presentation once more.
Yeah.
Let me go through quickly. It shows, the blue dump. Sometimes it happens. Anyways, let's go through this again.
And your microphone has some kind of background noises.
Yes, I believe it's the fan issue. Let me stop this. This should be fine now.
It's much more better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's actually it's fan from the laptop itself,
Yeah.
and it's showing. So let me just start my PPT once more.
And now the noise from background is there again.
Is it all right?
None. No. Still, we can hear the background noise.
Okay, let me try to connect with my headphones. How about now?
Much more better.
Okay, right. So start. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, let me set this. Okay, so I'm good to go. Shall I? Just let me know.
It's totally yours.
Okay. I'm so sorry, guys. So this is the agenda for today, and where we are going to discuss about the disconnected tables, dynamic measures, calculation groups, page navigation, as well as now dynamic page titles. And let's start with something with the disconnected tables. So disconnected tables are quite important whenever we have to do if else analysis, or if we have to calculate something into our DEX calculations, then it becomes really very important to use the disconnected tables. So basically, what is a disconnected table? Disconnected tables has no relationship with any other table, but these are the tables which are present into our model. Sometimes we enter data manually in Power BI, and sometimes we have to load the data from either from the database or from the Excel files, text files, CSV, etc. So we will see how we can apply those disconnected tables in order to calculate the dynamic measures, as well as we can use for some other analysis as well. For example, I'll talk about dynamic page navigation. So we'll see in action very soon. Then we talk about the dynamic measures. So dynamic measures, basically when we use the disconnected table, that's the very first part, but we will use the slices as well, so that we can dynamically move from one item to the another item. And you can see a kind of screenshot over here. That's the model that we are going to use. Then we'll talk about the calculation groups. As I explained before, my machine was smashing out. So calculation groups are really very robust way which are going to help in order to calculate a lot of items. We don't need to calculate each and individual items. We can directly use as a group that we will create with the help of Tabular Editor over here. I'll show you how we can calculate these calculation group items and how we can use them into our day-to-day life. Now we talk about the dynamic page navigation. As I explained to you, as I mentioned earlier, the dynamic page navigation that we are going to use over here, we are going to use this with the help of RLS, how we can implement the RLS, how one particular user can see the pages that we are allowing them to see. We don't need to show each and every page. In general scenario, if I'll talk about, Like suppose we have the finance data, we have management data, but there are certain employees in our organization which are entitled to see only management data, but not the sales data or the account or finance related data, so that we can control using dynamic page navigation as well. And lastly, we will talk about the dynamic titles with user selection. As you can see on my screen as well, there are the different selections made by any user or the consumer over there who's consuming the report. And not even this one, but if it's going beyond a certain value, then how we can change our title in a way that, okay, it's like Canada, France, Germany, and more, something like that. So we will see this at our last part of this today's presentation. So let's head over to our main demo and we are going to start. So this is my file which I'm going to use for demo, and here let me just show you the very firstly what do we have over here. In this demo I have a lot of things, so I'm not going to use this one for sure. I have to delete everything, but let me show you the model over here. Typically, what are the different tables? I'm using AdventureWorks database, data warehouse basically, where we have the different tables. I'm using two fact tables over here, fact internet sales table, fact reseller sales table. Then we have the different dimensional tables over here. One of them is date. Then we have sales territory and team product. And also you can see fact internet sales table is connected with the dim users, which is a dimensional table. Now we'll talk about this product table. Product table has two more tables. One is for the product subcategory, another is for product category. So this is the main model that generally I use for the demo purpose, but today we are not gonna use much of these except to calculate some of the measures and to see. And after that, we have to use these different tables, but right now I'm gonna create it from the beginning. So let me just delete it from here. Give me a second. It would take a bit. It's going to take a while I just delete this. Yes, it's done. Now guys, the very first thing that we are going to do over here, we are trying to create our dynamic measure. So in order to create the dynamic measure, the very first thing that we need to do, we have to create our some of the measures like sales, cost, and margin. I'm just discussing all three because these are quite basics, and this will give you an idea how to create more if you want to create the total MTD, total YTD, or any other measure that is in your mind which you want to move dynamically. And that definitely depends on the requirements from project to project and how we can use them. So the very first is we are going to need some of the measures. So let me see, do I have any measures for the sales or not? So you can see I have a measure for the cost where I am calculating some of the total product cost. That's I'm calling my cost measure. Then I have a margin as well over here, which is the difference between the sales and the cost. And if I'll talk about the sales, then this is my sales measure, which is again using the sum dex function and calculating the sum of all the sales amount. So these are not a very kind of a complex calculation, so that's why I'm avoiding them. And now we will jump to create our very first table, that is our disconnected table. I'm going to put all my measure names in that table, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So very first, what you have to do, you can start entering the data. Over here, you can see enter data. Most of you guys already know, definitely, because you all are coming from the same background. But this today's presentation is more about to get to know or spread this knowledge to everyone. I also learned, and one of my mentor, or you can say Gilbert, I learned a lot of things from him, and these are also coming, from my experience that we learned from time to time. So definitely this is going to be helpful if you are not using these till now, but if you are using them, then definitely your suggestions and everything are most welcome. So very first we are going to create a table. So I'm going to give it a name as measure table. This is my measure name, is not this one. This is my measure table, and I'm going to give here my measure name. So let's see, the very first is sales, then I have cost, and then I have margin. Now we have these measure names, but we can create one more column. Suppose we want to sort this in any order, ascending, descending. So let's just do that. I'll say sort order. This is going to help us if we want to move up and down, like ascending or descending order, either of those measure names. So I'll say 1, 3, and 2. So this is just the order, so it hardly matters. You can give it the way you like to provide these names. So after that, just click hit and load the table. Now, if you will go in your data view, you can see we have a table with the name measure, and we have 3 measures over here: sales, cost, and margin. And if I want to sort them as well, I can do with the help of sort order, and then it's gonna get sort out. So that's whenever you are gonna bring them in the table, they are gonna come in the same sort order. So let's go to my feed, my measure name, and if I bring them, so sales, margin, and cost, because that was my order over there. Great. So we are quite good over here. Now the third step comes over here, that we need to create a measure so that they can vary dynamically. And we are going to use them in a slicer. We are not going to use them over here like as it is. So let's create another measure, and that measure I'm going to create in my fact table, fact internet sales table, and I'm going to give it a name as measure value, or you can say even dynamic. So the way you want to call it, I'll say measure value. Once I give it a measure value, so the very first I have to create a variable over here. And guys, please feel free to raise your hand and ask anything if you want to ask meanwhile. So no issues with that. So very first we are gonna use a variable over here, and I'm gonna call it let's say selection. So the variable name is selection, and over here what we have to do, we have to first use the selected value dex function. Why we are using? Because this would help us out that what value we are selecting, and in the contrast, as you can see on my screen, it's saying that returns the value when there is one or more value in the specified column, or otherwise returns the alternative result. So the value that we are going to select right now is the measure name. So if I type measure name over here from the measure table, it's going to return this. And if this value is not present, then the alternative result, I want to see the sales. So that's going to give us our selections. Now we have to write a simple switch statement over here, where I'm going to say return, that means the result what I want to return after this. I'm saying if my switch statement, if I apply switch and then true, when the condition is meeting over here, what it should do? It should do the selection, which is my variable. If my selection or my variable value is coming out to be sales, then it should return me the sales measure over here. As if my selection variable again equals to cost, then it should return me the cost. Now again, let me correct it. I think there's one extra. Okay. So again, if it's selection equals to margin, then it should return me the margin. So that's all we have to do. And if we can provide, if none of them are meeting, then we can say, okay, it should return the sales only by default. That's all we have to do over here. We can hit enter over here, or we can place the brackets as we like. So this measure is actually already created for me. So I'm just gonna give it a different name. Let's say dynamic measure value. Click on this button and we have clicked it. Now that part is done. So we have created a dynamic measure value over here, and now we need to check the value in a card. Like whenever I select it, sorry, this is my card value, and here I'm gonna bring this one. Right now you will see this is gonna show me 29.36 million, which is gonna equals to the sales because my measure is this one. Reason being, if we are not selecting any, it's coming blank. So we have already mentioned in this one, if it's not getting anything, it should return the sales. And once it's sales, it's gonna return sales. Also in the alternative result as well, we have defined it as the sales. And now if I click on margin, it's gonna give me the margin, and if I click on cost, it's gonna give me the cost. So that's how the dynamic measure is gonna work. Based on our selections, we can get the values that we want. It's just a very pretty simple example, but yes, there can be the different cases which are going to be much more difficult than this. And some of them like other formatting options we are gonna see in our next one. So where I'm gonna tell you how to create the calculation groups, because as I mentioned earlier, calculation groups I'm sorry guys, calculation groups are the robust modeling feature in Power BI that reduces the redundant measures created by grouping standard measure expressions. So those are going to be very helpful in order to perform a lot of other calculations. So let's just start for that one as well. And for that, in order to use the calculation groups, I have to use the Tabular Editor. If you don't have, if you haven't installed the Tabular Editor, you can download from the SQL BI website. So whenever you will go on internet, just type Tabular Editor and you will go to the website from where Marco Russo and another person, Alberto Ferrari, they are maintaining a very nice website where you can find all the great tools over there that are the external tools that are going to help you in order to develop a very nice DAX you want to format, or you want to do a lot of other things like ALM toolkit, etc. So you can go over there, you can download, and then you can start working on that. Over here, you can see in my external tools right now, I have only this one, which is my Tabular Editor. And once I'll click on this, it's gonna open me this view where you can see your different measures, tables, rows, and even the relationship between the tables. So it's a very amazing tools. If you want to learn more about these tools and the performance, then we have posted some of the videos on my YouTube channel as well, because I'm operating my BI Consulting Pro YouTube channel, where we are posting videos on every Saturday and Sunday, and sometimes on weekdays as well, with a lot of information. So make sure you check those out. But over here, our concern is more related to the calculation group. So over here, you can see I have created one of the calculation group as well, where I'm doing it with format, without format, but this is the later part. I'm not gonna use this right now. So what I'm gonna do right now, I'm gonna click over here, and you can see create new, and it's saying the create a calculation group. So let's click this, and I'm gonna give it a name as metric. Once I click it, you can see there's precedence. So based on this one, your measures or is going to execute on the basis of priority. Depends on what is the priority. If some measure or some calculation group has a priority 2, so um, it's going to execute before that the priority lower than this one, this precedence. So please make sure that you check this one. After that, once you will click over here, you will see the calculation items and the name. So I'm going to change this name as well as my metric. So you can see my name is here, I can change it to metric, or you can give it any name. Like it's not necessary you have to give a metric name only, but you can give any other name as well. So I'm just, for example, giving it a name as metric only right now, and it would match with this. And there's a calculation items. Now this is the there is the one where we have to calculate our different items, which are gonna help us to work on our dynamic calculation groups over here. So let me just create the very first item. I'll right click again over here, and you see the new item, and I'm gonna name it as sales. So which is gonna be my sales measure. So name is sales, ordinal is 0. Ordinal is basically we are going to use over here as a sorting order, like in which order we want. We want first sales, then cost, and then margin. I'm gonna again stick with those three simple measures, but you can also calculate the sales, orders, average, order size, unit cost, and margin, and their formulas are simple. But apart from that, if we have any other currency and all those kind of things as well, we can do over here. So what is the expression over here? For sales, we want our sales measure to be there. So for that, we just type sales. And now it says the formatting. So what kind of formatting do we want? Because these calculation groups are going to help us to give us the dynamic formatting. So what kind of formatting do we want for that? So for that, what I can do, I can take this formatting over here as a, because it's a sales, so I generally need it in the, the whole number. So let's paste this one. This is my formatting for sales. And now I'm gonna create another measure. That measure is gonna be the cost. And for cost, again, this would be my expression over here. First, change the name to cost. Then we have to put over here cost. And then it comes over here, the formatting. So what formatting do we want for the cost? So cost also, guys, always make sure your formatting is correct that you are looking for. Otherwise, it can show you the error as well. And that's why I'm also, kind of copying from my text file. Otherwise, sometimes it gives you error. So please make sure this formatting is going to be absolutely correct. And third one is the margin. Since margin is not the gross margin, it's not the percentage right now. So I'm just going to work on this. So let me give it a name. And I'm going to create a gross margin right now. So I'll show you how to create that gross margin. And here we'll say gross margin. And let's put again the expression, and margin is in percentage. So we need a percentage over there. So let me just put here. So this is the one. But before going there, let me just create a gross margin. So where's my file? My file is there. Let me check I have gross margin or not. Yes, I have. This is my gross margin where I'm dividing my margin by the sales. So that's how I'm calculating the gross margin. It's already there. So now I'll go back again here. I have everything. You can see I have three calculation items. One is the under metrics, sales, then I have cost, and then I have margin. But you see the ordinal is same for all of these, -1, -1, -1, because it's coming by default. But as soon as you will change this ordinal to 0, now let's see what happens. So I changed it to 0 over here. It's 0. Now second is 1 and third is sales. So automatically it gets changed. Once you do this, what you need to do, you have to save this over here. You can see, and once you are done with that, don't forget to save it. You will see it's saying refresh now. So there the magic is happening. It's automatically taking instructions from the Tabular Editor. Yes, there is a change in the data model. Now something new we have over here, and now we need to refresh it. So let's refresh. So this is my metric that we just created as a calculation group, and you can see the cost, gross margin, and the sales we have. And now, before that, we didn't have any kind of formatting itself. You will see the cost and this margin and this one are appearing like these are the not in a formatting way, or the formatting that we are really looking for, whether it's a percentage or something that we have defined over here. If you have any other formatting that you want to do, that one you can also do. But let's see what it's saying. So formatting expression syntax error, there are some errors, and that's what I was talking about. It happens. Invalid token line 011, so it's this. So let me again change it. Give me a second, guys. I'm just gonna change it. I hope so. This is gonna resolve soon. So be careful whenever you are doing the formatting, otherwise your calculation can go wrong and it would show you the error. Let's save it once more. Cost, it seems correct. Let's see. Okay, so if this won't work, I'll show you my another file where it's working properly, so no worries about that. Now let's bring our sales over here and see whether it's working or not. Yes, because of formatting, it's not working and it's saying invalid token line 01. Probably it's because of this double quotes. Okay, let me do this. I believe it's gonna sort it out. Once you copy, it happens. Save it again, and now it's gone. So let's go over here and you can see. So it's automatically taking all those formatting that we created from the calculation groups, and this is how we can really work on it. So this is just one of the very small example from the very big pond, and there can be again very difficult examples, but this would give you a base how to start with the calculation groups and how they can be very much helpful for you in order to work on different projects, work on different kind of calculations in DAX. In my day-to-day example, I come across a lot of things where we have to do the kind of currency conversion, or where we have to, maintain the inside the table, we have to maintain different kind of formattings and everything. So these are super useful. So please, guys, practice if you really want to. If you are not doing them, but if you are doing them, then it's great. Okay, now let's move to our next part, where we are gonna see the dynamic formatting that we just did like this, but we can also achieve in a single way. So let me just open my another file where I can do work on this. Give me a second. So in this one, we are going to talk about the switching between different measure formattings, how we can do that. And again, I'm going to use these three different measures. I'm not going to create again and again something more right now for this demo. And let's see how we can do that. So for that, again, let's use our dynamic measure value over here. What we can do, we have already right now, if I'll talk about my table, that table that we just created, this measure table, where we, which is our disconnected table. Yeah, this one, this is my disconnected table that we have created at the very beginning. And this table, we can use this table now again in order to do the switching between the different measures, how we can do this dynamic formatting over here. So table has already been created. Again, the same measures are in the table. They're the sort order. And let me just remove this. We don't need this. And we also don't need this. Let's remove this. And now this dynamic measure that I have created earlier, which is, selecting your measure, then sales, and then it's switching between the different measures, we can use again this the same. And also, instead of just putting the sales, if it's not matching, I'll say just return me the blank. I don't need any sales or something. So let me just say it should return blank. That's the only change I'm going to make over here. And let's click on this. So you can hit enter, or you can just click over there. So now we have our required measures over there. We have table. What we have to do right now, we are going to create with format or with no format two different calculation items in our tabular editor over here. This is my actually the one that I'm using, but I'm gonna delete it from the beginning and I'm gonna show you how to create it. So let me delete this one first, so it's not there anymore. And now I'm going to create another calculation group with the name of disconnected, or let's say dynamic measure, or not dynamic measure, let's call it dynamic formatting. So in this one, I have now this calculation group and they are the calculation items. So I'm going to create one calculation item with say with format. And this with format, if I'll come over here, you have to change name here. I'm not sure why it does not work time to time, but it should work ideally, but it's not working anyways. So the expression over here, the mainly our expression should be the selected measure. So if I'll talk about the the selected measure, so what it's gonna give you, selected measure is dex function used by the different expression for the calculations items to reference the measure selection, like what measure is currently in the context over here. That's what it's gonna help you out. So let me write it over here, selected measure. And once you are done over this one, so here is the here the real magic for this dynamic measure is going to happen. Rather than writing the three different measures and giving them the different formatting, we are not going to use it. Instead of that, what we are going to do over here, we are going to write an expression for this format string over here, and which is going to take all those three different kind of our measures, and it's gonna work over there. So let me start typing, but instead of typing over here, first I'm typing here, then I can cut and copy and paste over there. So don't mind me typing over here. So what we have to do, very first we have to create a variable, and variable we are gonna give it a name, measure name. Once we have this variable, again we have to select a value because it's gonna corresponding to the selected measure in our table. So let's say selected value. Please make sure it's gonna write correctly, otherwise it's not gonna work. And then my measure is coming from my measure table, so I need to make sure my table name is correct. So let me just copy from here. Where is my dynamic measure? Yes, so this is my table name. I'm gonna copy from there and I'm gonna paste it over here. So let me paste it over there. So this is my measure name, measure table from where from where I'm selecting my different measure names. So it's gonna give me this. Otherwise, I'm gonna use another dex function, selected measure name, which is selected measure name. This is my another dex function, and this selected measure name, what it's gonna do basically, it's being used by expressions for calculations items to determine measure. This is in the uh, context by name. So what measure is in context we are talking about? Like for example, if there's a sales, it should always gonna give us the sales measure. If it's gonna be something different, it's gonna give us that one. So that's what we are gonna use over here. Now, once you created this variable, then we have to create another variable to format the strings. So what kind of strings we want over here? What kind of format do we want? Like earlier, if you see over here, I created 3 cost, gross margin, as well as sales. And those in that individually, I have to provide it that one. But now I really don't want to do that. I want to do in a single expression and where I can do this dynamically. So what we have to do, we have to create another measure over here, which is gonna be where, and I'm going to choose it where with this one, current format decimal. And again, I have to write my switch statement. You can use if as, but I prefer switch. And in the switch statement, I'll say true when this condition is meeting. Then please give me the measure name, which is this variable. Sorry, which is this variable measure name. If it's coming as margin, then give me this one, format string. So my format string over here is gonna be, since margin is gonna come in percentage, and instead of that, it should be gross margin, not this one. So let's say gross margin. Gross margin is not in the percentage, it's not divided by, so we have to use this. And here we have to again type a format string, which is gonna be this, and the percentage. And likewise, I have to type for others, which is my again measure name. If it's gonna be sales, and then what can be my format string for sales? For sales, it's gonna be, right now I'm gonna take sales in dollars, so I want to change that from just from whole number or decimal number to the dollars. So it's gonna be dollars in decimal, and we can write an expression over here. It's done. And now the last one is if my measure name is unit cost, or not unit cost, sorry, it's gonna be the cost only for us. And if it's the cost, then its format string should be this is 0 and this is. So if you need to know more about the format string, different kinds of formatting and everything, then there's a lot of websites from where you can get it. And if you don't want to go there, then the best example is your Word. Go there and write any number, or go in the table in Excel, and there you can find the different kinds of formattings. From there you can get it. And also Matt Reddington has written a very beautiful article. Also, we have made a video over there that how we can use the different kinds of formattings in Power BI. So please go and check those articles as well. Otherwise, what it should return? It should return me selected measure format. So let's close this, and then I'm gonna return value. My return value should be this variable. So guys, basically we used over here three main text functions. One is selected measure that I talked to you about, the context and how it's used. Then another is selected measure name. And the last one is selected measure format string. So how this selected measure format string works, it's also the another expression for calculation items to retrieve the format string of the measure that is in context. So these are the different one. It's going to retrieve the format string that we have mentioned over here, and it's gonna work over here. So let's see whether it works or not. So just Control X, and I'm gonna paste it over there. So let's see. Oh, it's not coming. Yeah, over here. So we have a measure name, we have everything over there, the gross margin and everything has been mentioned. Cool. Now the last step is we have to create another one, which is my another without format. And in this without format, I'll take my selected measure, but I won't apply any formatting over here. So I'm not applying any formatting. It's just to show you the difference between with format and without format. Sorry, without format. So that's how I have calculated these two in the dynamic formatting. Now I'm gonna save it. And it's saying there's an error. Let me check what is the error over here. You can hover there and it's saying the filter is only selected valued. Okay, there is an error which I didn't write it down correctly. So it's a selected value, not the selected valued. So it's done over here. So now again we have to refresh it and we will see what happens next. And there's one more thing, guys. Instead of this margin in this measure, I'm taking now gross margin. So say if it's gross margin, then it should return me the gross margin only. Yep, that's it. Just select this. It's done. Now we will go back to our measure name. Bring it over here. We have in our table, and now we are gonna bring our dynamic measure.
Ajay, I have there few questions for you.
Yeah, sure.
One is it possible to connect calculated group to measure filter?
With the measure filter?
Yeah.
Yes, we calculated group I haven't applied though, but I think we can try over itself over here if we have this one, like say we have this is, let me just remove it and we'll see how it works. But in my experience, I never use the calculation groups inside this one. Whenever we have to use the measure, like slicer, then we only use from the disconnected table because it's a dimension, and the calculation group, it's gonna give us a measure, like it's gonna give us a value. So that we cannot apply over there. And if I'll just do that and I'll show you, this is my metric. So let's see. So over here it's coming because this is the name. It's gonna give us the value corresponding to that one. So maybe we can do that, but in my experience, I haven't tried this, but definitely it's nice to hear from you that I can try this later.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for
anything. Yeah, sure. Anything else, guys? Because see over here, generally when we talked about the filters, we can only take the dimensions, and yes, we created over here 3 different dimensions. We can use that, but how this works with the measure, so let's see that one too. If this question comes, so we should definitely try. But I changed this one, so I'm not sure how much it's gonna work. Let's see, gross margin, it's working perfectly fine over here. So you can see that our values are changing according to the way I defined the formatting over there in my calculation group. So we can use it kind of over here. Okay, guys, before proceeding further, any more questions? Please stop me if I have to.
Yeah, okay. If will be another question, I will stop you. Thank you for the
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
So definitely, guys, every time we work, we comes with a different ideas, different minds are over there, sitting, observing and everything. And it's not necessary I worked on everything, but definitely if you have any question, please feel free to ask me. If I can't answer, then definitely there would be someone or I can get back to you guys. Okay, so what we created over here, let me go back to my dynamic measure and dynamic formatting. It's coming with this table that I bring over here. Dynamic formatting with format and without format, because we clicked the two. And now I'm gonna take this table as well over here, where I'm gonna place my dates. I have date, so this is my date column. And I have my measure that I created. This is my measure. So right now you can see without format, it's giving me these values, but if I'll get with format, it's gonna give me this. This is the sales, but I want to check the gross margin over here. So you can see it's gonna give me in the different values. So without doing anything, we can just observe all those dynamically using a single expression and format string over here. So I believe that's going to be useful for you in future whenever you want to work on this. So that's my idea, but you can get back to me if you need to know more about this dynamic formatting and the expressions or any DAGs. If you are not getting, you can reach out to me on my LinkedIn or in my YouTube channel or wherever you want to, or through this group, which has a lot of guys over there. So and a very nice group. So please reach out to me. So these were the 2-3 different things that I wanted to show you how we can do that. And now we will move forward. So now we are going to talk about the dynamic page navigation.
In this
For
video, I
that,
want to
I
talk
have to
all
open
about
another one.
using images in
My file. Bear with me, guys. I need to check my file. And then we have this file over here. So guys, this is plain. There's nothing right now. So what we are trying to achieve over here, dynamic page navigation using RLS, that I briefed earlier about this one, that suppose you have the different departments around your organization. There's some financial data, there's some management data, but also you want to restrict the people access dynamically, like which page they can view, which they cannot. So how we can achieve this one? For that, what we are going to do, first of all, we have to create 3 different tables. The tables I have already created, so that because we won't have that much of time or the flexibility right now to create the different tables. I have these 3 different tables. Let me zoom in a bit so that you can see it clearly. Let me know, guys, if you have any issue with the visibility or you are not able to see. So I have these 3 different tables. One is the user pages table, another is the user table, and third in the pages. So I'm going in this table one by one. What do I have in these tables and how you can create it? I have created this table for the demo purpose just by entering the data over here. manually. So let's talk about the pages table. Page table is similar to my measure table that I have created with the different measures. And right now the difference is just I have my different pages name over there. So you can see I have sales page, order page. These two pages I have created over here extra. And these are mentioned over there, and plus the sort order if we want to sort this in the slicer or any way the way we want. After that, I have created another table, which is my user pages table. That means which page user should go and view that. So I have just put my demo IDs over there with this, my connected BI Consulting Pro, suatome.com, and these. So you can see that I should be, because I'm logged in with the BI Consulting Pro over here, and I should be able to view only the home page over there, and then the sales page. I should not be able to view this order page. That's the logic, ideally, it should be. And then lastly, I have a user table where I have my usernames and then their corresponding email addresses. Now, what we are going to do in the very first step, though the first step is this one, how to create the tables, but now we have to create the relationship between these tables. So let's see how we can create it. You can see the user table. First, the user table should be able to filter it out the user pages table. So the filter direction should be from the user to the user pages. It's just a basic kind of modeling concept. So what we are going to do, we have the common field over here, the address. So let me just do that. And you can see we have one-to-many relationship over there, and direction is going from the users to the user pages. That's my first relationship between these two tables. Now the remaining is from the user pages to the pages table, and then we are gonna create this using the page name or the pages. But right now you can see it's one-to-many, but it's only the unidirectional or the single direction cross filtering over there. But I need it to filter in the both. Either I'm selecting from the page table or from the user table, it should be filtered out in both directions. So what I can do, I'll go over there, I'll hit on this edit relationship, and here I can change. But the most important part comes over here. Apply security filter in both directions. This is very important. If you won't use it, then you won't be able to apply this RLS over here. So apply this, click OK, and just wait, and it's done. Now we have to create a couple of simple measures for this one. So the very first measure that I'm going to create in my pages table, that would be my page navigation. So what would be my page navigation? In the page navigation, again, I'm going to select the value from the page table itself about the page name. So I'm going to use again the selected value. So whatever is in the filter, it's going to select that value, and correspondingly, it's going to move on those pages. So what is my page name is from the pages table, and that's it. It's sweet, it's simple. Hit enter or check over here. Also remember the very important thing, if your page names over here like sales and orders, and those are not matching with the table names, then it won't work at all. So whenever you are trying to do it, please make sure the page names over here and the page names that we have entered in the page table, those should match. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. Now I'm again gonna create one more measure over here. That is, I'm gonna call page to click. I'll show you why I really want to do that. So I'll say page to click or page to enter. Let's say page to enter rather than page to click. And over here, I have to do some concatenation. For example, click to page, so that user can get to know, okay, this is the text is appearing over there. So click to page, and I'll give up one space over there. I'm gonna concatenate this with my page navigation that I have just created. So it's gonna give you the page name, because in my page navigation, what I'm getting a value from the slicer that I have been selected, and this is gonna name coming over there. So great so far. Any questions, guys, so far? Okay, so now let's move further. Now I have to create two things over here. The very first thing I'm going to create, I'm gonna create one slicer with a page name. So let's say this is my page name. I'm gonna make it a slicer. And you can see I have these 3 pages over there, which I can select. And I'm gonna put one very big text over here. I'm gonna say this is my home page. And I'm not gonna make anything over here, any visualization or anything else. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, 60. This is just for the representation purpose, nothing else. We have nothing to do with this one. And let's do a little bit formatting. Cool. So this is my slicer over here, and rather than making it multi-select, I would prefer to make it single select because we have to go on pages one by one. And let's do that. So click over here. Now it's a home page, it's single select, but right now our work is not done. After that, what I need to do, I have to insert one button over here that is going to help me to navigate on a particular page where I really want to go. I'll just make this button, and now you can see there's no text, nothing else. So we need the text, and we need the text first, the name, because if I select here, it would say, okay, select the page, then go to the page. We have already created one measure for that, which is page to enter. Click over there, select OK, and here we go. You can see clearly we have this click page to go. And now this is done. The hard work has already been done. Only one last step is remaining, not one. There are 2 steps. One, we have to do the page navigation over here. And what we need to do, we have to again apply over here our expression. So which we have already created, page navigation. Click OK. And now whichever page we select, for example, order we have selected and we want to move to order. So select and we are at orders page. Again, go back. Now I want to go to sales. I'm in sales page. Go back. So guys, this is the part where we do the dynamic page navigation. But now the question comes about the RLS because we have already created the tables. Now we have to create the rows. So in order to create the rows, you have to go in the modeling tab. In the modeling tab, you have to go to the measure rows. And how we are going to filter on the basis of user. So we know that already in our model, if I'll just cancel this, in our pages table, you will see, not in a pages table, you will see over here in the users table, we have our email addresses over there. And we want to only filter out on the basis of whoever has logged in with this report can see only what pages we have allowed to the users over here. So what we can do, we'll go over there, we'll create a static RLS over here. It's not the dynamic for sure. And we are gonna filter it out on the basis of email addresses. Now, currently you will see there's values coming, but we have to replace it either with the username or the user principal name. The very basic difference between username and user principal name is that user principal name would give you the complete email address of that user, but the username is going to give you the user ID. So let's use user principal name. Okay, I believe it's going to be correct. Let's hit this. Okay, and save. So it's been done. It's been done. Now what we have to do, we have to check this RLS, how it's going to work. So we can do this in my machine itself, but for you, once you have to see in action on Power BI service, first we have to deploy this on Power BI service. There we have to go in the dataset security, and in security we have to add in the rows over there the email addresses. So let's just view over here. So there is currently none, but I want to use the pages and I want to see for myself how it's going to appear. And you can see that it's gone. I cannot see any other, like even in the selection, it's not available for me. I cannot go on those one. So that's how it's appearing. So I'll just stop it. So once I stop, it's appearing again, and that's how we can manage this. But probably why I can see orders and sales, because if I'll go over here, perhaps you didn't notice, but here my email address is not correct as it over here. And this is the reason that I'm not able to see. Once I'll click on this view roles and I go just pages, I can see only home page where I am allowed to see. So we can do that too. We can correct it. How we can do that? We have to go modeling. Sometimes many of the users ask me like which are the beginner kind of, they have entered the data, now they cannot do this kind of manipulation in the data. But no worries, you can do whatever you want to do. You have to just come over here, don't go in the advanced editor, otherwise you would be get confusing or what to add, what to not add over there. Just go over here at the source, you can see this gear item as well over there. Just click on this one and it would give you this. Now what I need to do, I have to just copy this and paste in my sales one, because you can see it's this email address is not correct. So I'm gonna paste and then we are gonna check once more, and I hope this time it's gonna work perfectly fine. So let me again go in the modeling view pages. Let's see. This is surprising. Again, I'm not able to see, but it should work. It should work. Probably I'm not entering the correct one over here. It should work, but logic is perfect. Let me just check once more. Consulting Pro.
While you are looking for the issue, I have another question. If it's possible to use calculation groups in a matrix visual, so it will show always appropriate measures that will be for particular category inside the header of the table of a matrix. It means like inside the header, I have something like reality, and under this reality will be the real summary, and next to it will be something like year up to date. And then there will be another category like a prediction. And this prediction will have, I would say, only the summary of the predicted values.
I believe we can use calculation group in the matrix and tables. The very first part answer is that, but this is a situation-based question. To be honest, I haven't tried this kind of thing. But yes, calculation groups now can be used anywhere, whether it's a chart, matrix, or anything. That's for sure. But for this kind of scenario, I haven't worked out, so I cannot, say 101% we can do that. That depends on the logic and how we are gonna work over there. But the very first part is 101% true. We can use that over there.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, let's see if it's work. Otherwise, there's some typo or something, but it should work. It's gonna give me the hard time. But the logic is clear, guys, over here, that how to set up your RLS over there. Let's see other user if it can work for Kumar. Yes, he can see all. And what other users do we have in our table? We can try to use this. Copy. Let's see. It's kind of not working over here. I'm not sure what's the issue is usually over here. I checked it earlier even before doing that. So I have to move right now. We are running out of time. I'm sorry for that. But the major idea and logic is all there. I'll definitely figure it out why it's not working over here. So the very last one that I want to discuss is all about the dynamic titles, how we can use the dynamic titles in our reports and those dynamic titles with selection. So what we do, let's say this is my one of the card where I'm gonna bring the sales, and these sales are gonna come from this, my sales amount. And I want to see this is by my user group. This is one. Then let's see, I have the another card as well where I'm using this donut chart. And in this donut chart, what I want to see my products. I have so many categories. So let's say not product key. I want a product name. And then I want to see the sales again. Let's see the order amount, not the sales. So what is the order amount? It's just a simple report that I'm created so that we can see over here. The main focus is on this one, where I am going to create a country column, country slicer, sales territory country, and I'm making it as a slicer where I have the different values. And what I really want to do over here, based on my these country selections, that should appear for this one particular KPI on the title. It should appear. So what I have to do for this one, I have to write a DAX, and the DAX is kind of quite long. So I'll just walk you through my DAX, which I have already created. So let me just copy my DAX from my file that I'm using. Okay, so let's give it a name as title, new measure, dy title. And we'll go there, paste it. So this is kind of a big, quite a big DAX, but it is very easy to understand over here what I'm doing. The very first thing, I'm saying how to get the count of the countries, how many count is there for the countries. And for this, I'm using the distinct count. Once I have the count of the countries, then in this one, what we are doing, we're getting the distinct count of all the country names so that the country is only being counted for once across the entire data set. For that, I have created another variable, which is my max country count. And here I'm using calculate distinct count. And then I'm removing all the filters from this sales territory country table from where these country names are coming over there. Now, apart while writing this, I have also set the maximum count, that the maximum number of country names can appear for, not more than that. So for that, I created this variable max item to show maximum 4, and if there is more than 4, then I have to switch my title to something else. So what I'm gonna do, I'll route this text over here, switch, and then after writing switch statement, what we are gonna do, we are saying country count. If my country count is 1, then country concatenate with the value that I have selected. After that, if country count is equals to the max count, then it's gonna say no countries selected. That means it can be all the countries have been selected, or it's none of them has been selected over there. So it's gonna show me no countries has been selected. Then if my country count is less than equals to the max items to show, then it should iterate it. It should get all the concatenation for all the names. So over here you can see countries concatenate, then this is another DEX where I'm using concatenates, and then we are getting all the country name and concatenating them using comma. That's what I'm doing. And also, if that's not the case, and suppose the country names are more than the 4 values, then what we are gonna do? In that case, I'm concatenate the initial countries and then writing and more. So that's how that 4 countries we can show. And after 4, we say and more. That's what we are doing over here. So let's click over here and see how does it work. I'm not selecting anything. I'm going over there on my KPI. And in the KPI, you will see the title. So we can select over here the expression for the title. And I'll write it over here, dy title. Select it, OK. Now it's saying none of the countries has been selected because I haven't selected anything. So once I select this one, Australia, then I go for the France, Canada, 4. Till 4, it's gonna show us everything. But if I'll go more than 4, suppose United States, so it's gonna say Canada, France, Germany, and these are my 4, which is my maximum count, and after that, and more. So that's it's gonna happen. Even I click any more countries, the same title is gonna be there. And since I selected NA, because all has been selected, so that means none of the countries has been selected. So that was a quick trick. I believe if you want to use sometimes dynamic titles or anything, you can use it. So that's all, guys, for today that I have to show you. Probably in the next time when we are gonna meet up, we can show something, some more cool tricks or some more calculations in DAX, and that's gonna make our life much better while working on Power BI. Thank you so much, Stephen. So that's all from my side for today. And if you guys have any question on this, so please feel free to ask.
Thank you so much, Jai, for joining us. It was very intense, many informations, and I hope everyone who has been watching it like it. I would like to ask you if you are okay with that. The footage of the stream will be placed on YouTube.
Yeah, of course,
Okay,
please,
thanks.
please, as you like. So I'm perfectly all right. And I'll say thank you too, guys, and thank you to one of my mentors as well, like who taught me everything, Gilbert from Formo. And guys, you can connect with me through any channel, my LinkedIn, my YouTube channel, or my any other social accounts if you want to follow me on Instagram or anything. So please welcome. All queries are welcome, and you can reach out to me at any point of time.
Meanwhile, your stream, I have posted your LinkedIn already inside the chat, and now I do it again, so anyone can find you. And we will just short to wait if someone come up with any question.
Sure. Of course, anytime.
So, guys, any question there? Anything about calculation groups, dynamic formats, etc.? For myself, I would say it was very nice to see how to do the dynamic formats, because I've never used the Tabular Editor for it, and for now it was the first time when I saw it, and it was quite interesting.
Yeah, its calculation groups are really interesting, and they are gonna make your life much more easier as compared to just to perform calculation group. And there are many things like I would like to, come further for the tabular editor that we can analyze, we can do performance tuning, we can create measures. We so much using Dex Studios, and there's a lot of things we can find out, and we can do so. We can create so efficient Power BI reports over there.
Yeah, also. I also very like using a Dex Studio, especially for Dex tuning. So
yeah.
Okay, I have there a question. If it's possible to share this PBX file you've been using while the presentation.
Of course, I'll save it and I'll send you guys all 2-3 PBIs I have that I use for today, so I can share with you guys, so you can use them. I'll
Okay.
share with you, Stephen, and then probably you can
Yeah,
send them.
I will provide it to whole community.
Sure,
So thank you so much.
Anytime.
Okay, I think no more questions there. At least it seems like that. So I have to thank you once more time, Ajay.
Thanks to you guys for having me over here, and probably we'll meet again with some exciting
hope so.
topic. And I hope so next time my screen is not gonna broke down.
Okay, so thank you so much, and thank everyone for watching this stream. And I hope we will meet each other next time on another Czech Pass meetup. So see ya,
Sure.
guys.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.